Have you seen the Jay Toya video?
Yeah, we're aware of the video and we're following university protocols on student conduct.
Is he still practicing with the team right now?
Yeah, we are aware of the video and we are following university protocols on student conduct.
It's a pretty simple question. Is he practicing today?
And that's a pretty simple answer. We are aware of the video and we're following university protocols on student conduct. Okay. So we released a statement.
Did you personally see the video?
Yep.
What did you think of it?
Again, we are aware of the situation and we are following student protocols. So.
Jerry Azanero has not talked to us in 4 years. He's the only offensive or defensive coordinator in the Pac-12 that's either not been available or spoken with the media since the start of training camp. Shouldn't he be available or have some accountability?
That's as his choice. So that's his choice on what he wants to do. So
what's happening with this defense?
Yeah, I think it's his choice. It's the United States of America. I'm not going to force anybody to do anything. So that's his choice that he doesn't want to speak to the media. So.
But you don't think there's a level of accountability?
There is a level of accountability. That because he doesn't talk to you doesn't mean there's not a level of accountability. So I think you're convoluting two things. So that's not how I see it. So that may be how you see it, and that's your choice too. Because there is choice in this country. So.
What about his performance? How would you assess his performance?
I assess everybody's performance. So it's a whole group thing. There's not one person that does one thing. It is an entire group, whether it's offensively, defensively, special teams. There's not one person that just does something. No one else has any input. That's not how things have ever operated. So it's a total group thing there. So it's everybody. And there are games this year where we've played outstanding on defense. So and there are some games where we could play better. So and that's everybody. That's the whole group. So.
Does that blend of who's making what decision as a coach change over the course of the season based on the production and the results, or is it just kind of set in stone?
No, again, the entire group makes decisions all week long. It's not like one guy sits in an office all by himself and then comes out with, hey, this is what we're doing, and guys wait around to find out what we're doing. We all meet. It's a collaboration, whether it's offensively, defensively, or special teams. We meet for a very, very long time on both sides of the ball about everything that we're doing when we put together our plans and then go through practice, watch a practice tape, execute those plans and everything. It's not that way anywhere, so I don't know. Maybe there's a misconception of that, but it's not that way anywhere I've ever been in my life where there's one guy that tells everybody else what to do and then there is no collaboration and nobody has any input on anything. So we're all part of the process, and that's the way it's always been everywhere I've been. So.
What do you have to do about the run defense? Do you think that this was a one-time?
I mean, going into the game, we were ranked first in the Pac-12 and 13th in the country. So I thought going into our Utah game, our defense had played really well from a run standpoint, and then we did not play well from a run standpoint on last Saturday. So, we'll get back out on the practice field today. That's what improvement week's all about. Making corrections from the previous games, and then getting ready to do a little bit of sprinkling of what we're going to do against Colorado.
Do you feel that you have to be a bit more aggressive? You didn't have any sacks.
I know that, but that's what's aggressive? Blitz. We blitzed. So we blitzed a lot actually in that game. So it's not. I think you got to watch the tape and understand what we did. There was a lot of pressure that was called in that game. Did we get home with the pressure? Did we make plays when we had to make pressure? No, we didn't. We understand that. So we'll make the proper corrections. We got to get off the blocks. We got to do a lot of different things. But it's part of the process. But our run defense up until the Utah game had actually been really well.
When your defensive coordinator doesn't speak with the media, it leaves the players to speak for what's happening. You gave up 4 touchdowns and 4 drives. Is that to start that game, and you bring in a linebacker and he has to answer for it? Is that fair to the players?
I don't think the linebacker has to answer for it, and I think ultimately everything falls on my shoulders, and I'm available all the time. So I don't think our players have to answer for our coaches. The head coach talks at every availability. So.
They have to answer about what's happening.
Well, that's because of the questions that you ask. That's not that they're not answering for that. I'm here, and you can ask me the questions, and I answer the questions. So, and I'm here for every availability. Again, we're all part of that. I'm in charge of everything, Ben. I'm in charge of the offense. I'm in charge of the defense. I'm in charge of the special teams. I'm in charge of the food. I'm in charge of it all.
With regards to the run defense, and giving up as much as you did against Utah, is it possible they were just that much more physical than you guys were?
I don't get into the possibilities. We always just break down the mechanics of, where were we, what gap we were supposed to be in, what was our responsibility on each individual play, and then how we break it down that way. So it's not, I don't look at an overarching, and we're not looking for one word or one sentence that will encapsulate what went wrong with the run defense. We're not looking to write an article. We're looking to how do we make the proper adjustments so that when we play Colorado, in 10 days here, that we're in better shape and put ourselves in a better situation.
Because out of the 9 teams you guys have played, 6 are actually ranked 75th or worst in the country in terms of rushing offense, which tends to lead to everybody has stopped them, not just you guys.
We play who's on our schedule, so we don't schedule teams based upon how well they rush the ball or how well they don't rush the ball. So
I just meant in terms of looking at the rushing defense performance and being ranked 13th.
Yeah,
that could be a little misleading.
We don't look at that. I was just pointing that out to you. We look at how did we play against Utah. So we don't look at the Utah game and say, hey, we were good in rush defense before that game started, so let's not worry about it. We've got to make the proper corrections from the Utah game.
You guys are having an improvement week. What are you working on?
It depends on the position, but there's a lot of, I think it's always centered on fundamentals because the game of football is about fundamentals. Let's sticking on blocks on the offensive side of the ball, getting off blocks on the defensive side of the ball, tackling on defense, catching the ball, securing the catch, ball security, decision making for the quarterbacks. Where are we in terms of how can we get better at what we're doing and what part of our game plan is? Do we need more work on the quick game? Do we need more work on play action? Putting it all together in terms of just building. As the season goes along, I think sometimes you can kind of lose sight of the fundamental aspect of games, but the game is always about fundamentals, and we've been a real individual fundamental team, and you work that through. But sometimes as you get going on during the course of the season, you're focused more on the scheme, but you got to get back to really focusing on the fundamentals because the game of football is about fundamentals.
You get a $10,000 bonus if this team wins 6 games. Is 6 wins in a school like UCLA worthy of a bonus?
I don't have anything that I didn't even know that.
You signed it.
I know. I didn't. Yeah. I wasn't aware of that aspect because I didn't look at that. So I'm not.
But now that I'm telling you, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah. Thoughts on the bonus?
Getting a bonus for 6 wins.
I think that's part of every college coach's contract.
For 6 wins? Okay.
Most of them, yeah. I would think if you went through the history, there's a guy for USA Today that publishes them all the time. So you can go through the history of what contracts are in college football and how those all work. So.
When it comes to recruiting, would you say you're able to focus on it as much during the season as you like? And as a bye week
we were out yesterday. All of us, our whole coaching staff was out yesterday. Got the chance to get to a lot of schools, watch practice. I was at practice yesterday, so you got certain amount of evaluation days that you can take during the fall. We use all of our evaluation days, so we have guys out. We were fortunate because we had 2 byes, so we had guys out in the first bye. We've had guys out. There are guys that came back today that will be back out again tomorrow. Some of them, like Coach Gundy's still out, so he didn't come back. He won't be at practice today. So whatever the amount of evaluation days that the NCAA gives you, we use all of our evaluation days. So we use them all during the season, and probably not unlike any other team in the country. I think we all do it depending on your schedule, and I think that's how it all works. So for us, getting to practice, I think is a really big thing because games you can get the film of, but you're not going to get films of practice, and you want to see how kids are in practice. So we really hit the early part of the week hard, and that's why we were out early this week, and we'll be out again tomorrow.
Is it nice to have a bye at this time when there's only a couple more weeks to go into the early signing period?
It's actually, no, to be honest with you, because in some places the playoffs have started, so if there's 1 or 2 kids you want to see, they may not be practicing now. Their season may be done, so it depends on where you're recruiting and what their season is. I know like in Utah, they're in the quarterfinals now, so if you're a team that's not a top 8 team and 5A or 6A, you're not practicing anymore. So sometimes it's, sometimes I agree with your point as it's closer towards the signing date. Sometimes is a little bit better, but I think you also have to look at the area. I know in California, the first round of the CIF start this week. So if there's a team that you were looking at or wanted to go see a player, but his team didn't qualify for the playoffs, then he's not practicing this week. So now when you go to the evaluation at the school, you're not watching the kid do an athletic evaluation. You're picking up a transcript and talking to all the coaches and the teachers and the guidance counselors and whatnot at the school, but you're not getting a chance to see the kid actually run around on the practice field and what that's like. So a lot of it depends on the schedule. I think it was beneficial that we got our guys out and be able to split our days up when we had that first bye because we played the week 0 game. So.
What's Dorian's status?
Dorian's available.
Chase Griffin and Alec Anderson available?
Chase Griffin is. Alec Anderson is not.
How much the bye comes, I'm assuming, at a good time for Dorian?
I don't understand.
He's recovering from an injury. That's pretty simple math there. You got 2 weeks versus 1.
I don't think the 2 weeks matters.
So what does that mean? Does that mean he's not playing?
That was my answer. I didn't say that.
Okay.
I don't know who's playing against anybody because we'll wait till we get to game day. But I don't think the timing. I think you're off in the timing aspect of things. So,
Okay.
because he'll be full in practice today. So, we good on that? Thanks, guys.